status update on the last 6 months or so, what's happened after Nostrasia, including the recent fusion with Snort. And I'll talk about the Irish philosophy, the Irish way of doing things, and some future thoughts on Nostr. So let's go. So the story starts in 2009, here from the campus of Helsinki University of Technology, where I was a 20-year-old computer science student. I was quite passionate about liberty, freedom, self-sovereignty, but I was not too interested in politics or political influence. Rather, I was inspired by changing the world through technology. And I didn't stress too much about the studying part, so I had a lot of free time at hand. I was thinking what would be the biggest, most impactful technology that could change the world, and I figured out it would be money, because that's what our society is founded on. And if the money is corrupt, then it affects everything in our culture. So I was thinking we need this separation of money and state, because control over the money gives too much power to the state. So I went looking, found maybe Googling for peer-to-peer currency or something, found this thing just released. Peer-to-peer currency, Bitcoin by Satoshi, maybe Japanese guy, the exchange rate. And also I needed a real job, and Bitcoin wasn't such at that time, so I moved on to other stuff. In 2011 I also happened to visit Japan, spent 2 months in Japan studying Japanese in Fukuoka, Shikoshi Hanasemasu. Also visited Tokyo briefly, visited the Mount Gox office in Tokyo. It's just 1 kilometer from here. It's in Cerulean Tower. This happens to be the former office of Google, the first office of Google in Tokyo. Everything was good, people were smiling, Bitcoin was booming, business was good. Here's the Tokyo sunset as seen from their office window. Here's the YubiKeys that were used to secure the account logins to Mt. Gox accounts, but that doesn't help when the server is hacked. Later, they lost 80% of their customer funds. The bankruptcy proceedings have taken 10 years. Maybe next year we'll get something back. They owe me 10 bitcoins, and maybe I'll get something back. But even though they lost 80%, they still did a better job at holding than most of us. Actually, Mt. Gox founder Jed McCaleb offered to sell Mt. Gox to me, but I politely declined. Running such a business in Finland without a license would be not allowed, and also I didn't want the responsibility over other people's money. And for good, but it would have to be peer-to-peer and censorship resistant. So in this system, user accounts would be key pairs and exchange these sign messages in a peer-to-peer flooding network. Built this prototype application, Identify, worked on it full-time for a while, then moved on to a fintech startup for a few years while continuing on free time. forward a couple of years. I was implied by the and also this purple flower. Perfect name. I think we should rename Nostr. So what I had previously, keep our user accounts and exchanging and syncing messages in a decentralized network over relays. Although even in some ways GunDB was more advanced, my favorite example is you could easily like and unlike posts in quick succession. You don't need to send events back and forth. You just synchronize the object state of your user. And Nostr had this great community of users and builders. I figured out it would be Nostr. And it was like the best decision ever. Yeah, after Nostrica, I did a lot of rewriting the code. Sometimes it's very useful to make the code more beautiful, more performant. But I also did some work, like 1 month rewriting on Next.js, which I later scrapped because the performance was not good enough to server-oriented, but reused some parts. But also did some useful refactorings and improved the performance of the local database. In a decentralized application, the local database is very important. It improves the user experience massively, makes it work offline, paves the way for peer-to-peer later. But also I started having mystery freeze bugs and all kinds of issues that were a bit difficult to debug. The complexity grows. Even a simple like Twitter-like messaging client can become surprisingly complex pretty quick. In July, I got this grant from OpenSats, thanks to whoever donated 5 million, and thanks to all the volunteers at OpenSats. So now I have runway until next summer, and I also have a former colleague of mine working with me part-time. So very grateful for this opportunity. Later also got this HRF bounty for private chats that do not leak metadata. You know, the problem on Nostr DMs is message sender and recipient are publicly visible. So I made this very simple solution where you would just generate a new Nostr account and send its private key to the other chat participant. And then you would use it to send messages to self, and it would be invisible to outside observers. Claimed half of the bounty, working on the second half by formalizing it as a Nostr improvement proposal. Some people didn't like it. They thought it's too simple and doesn't solve all the problems of secure messaging, but that was the scope of the bounty. Then this happened. Yeah, so I figured it would make sense to join forces with another project with a similar vision to reduce the duplication on things. There's surprisingly difficult things like infinite scrolling that are duplicated in all these applications. And this kind of maintenance, menial work. I figured by working together we could achieve more and focus on the essential stuff. So now we're using the same code base, just building Iris and Snort branded versions out of it, and having maybe slightly different default configurations. So in case we have like differing preferences or opinions somewhere, we can just make it a feature flag to be configured. And I think Nostr devs should work together more when it makes sense. I think like Nostr development kit is a good example of devs working together, not reinventing the wheel every time. And looking forward to bringing together the best of both clients. In my own old Iris code base, I liked the performance of the local database, and it kind of runs a local relay, in some sense, so it's not far away from peer-to-peer stuff. Whereas Snort has maybe been more reliable in many ways and less buggy and rich feature set. I think the branding configuration is quite an interesting concept. Maybe Damus would like to do their own fork or own branding and help us develop the same code base. It would be interesting. Maintainers of these distributions have some influence on the direction of the code, but ultimately it's the users who decide what they want to use. Yeah, a little bit about the Iris philosophy and design choices that I've made. So I want to make it fast, simple, beautiful, normie friendly. I've been trying to hide all the public keys, for instance. And one of my pet peeves is loading spinners, which I always want to avoid. Offline first, peer-to-peer. And then there's social graph, which in my opinion is the best way to filter spam and other unwanted content. There's, I guess the other popular idea is proof of work, but I think that hinders the normal users more than it does spammers. Here's a cool visualization of the social graph. That's actually done by my friend. It's a 3D graph that you can go check out. Currently it doesn't load the social graph automatically, so you should check your followers tab first. So it's gonna download like 50 megabytes of stuff. and then you have the social graph in memory, and it can render this. The visualization is not the most informative one right now. There's improvements to be made, especially in regard to clustering the users. So, for example, you can group together similar users. You can, in a good visualization, you can easily distinguish Sibyl swarms, like if someone tries to game the system, creating accounts that follow each other and are not connected to others. Basically, it's your extended social network, and the old iris used to filter all content by the social graph, so it would just reject every Nostr event from users that are not connected to your social graph. It has its pros and cons. Personally, I like it when I can check the notifications tab and be relaxed that there's no trolls bullying me. But also you might miss messages from new users who are not followed by anyone. So there's trade-offs. Also, I think automated sharing of block lists is necessary as well. Sometimes people might follow someone who turns out to be a troll. But if someone's followed by one of your friends and blocked by 5 of your friends, you might want to automatically block those users. But that's up to you, and you can adjust the parameters or disable the filter altogether. One interesting idea is that you could do a feed that consists only of your second-degree follows. So you can discover new users to follow and see stuff that you wouldn't otherwise maybe see on your normal feed. Funding. One idea is selling the usernames. I have reserved usernames shorter than 8 characters for sale later. Currently, you can get the longer usernames for free. So iris links could be a bit like Linktree, something that you could use on your business card and just add the links to bio. But there's a guy called Hodlonaut, and he gave this inspirational quote: "Everything you do in life, you should build on good foundations." And I'm not sure if DNS is the foundation I want to build on. DNS is centralized. Your domain names can be taken away from you. In Bitcoin terms, domain names are a shitcoin. And .20, iris.to, is the top-level domain of the Kingdom of Tonga. And I see that as a counterparty risk in some way. What if don't give any ideas, but maybe the King of Tonga will see something he doesn't like and starts demanding me to censor. But when it comes to human-readable names, I think social graph can be a great alternative to DNS. Just do a drop-down search where you will see the users in your social graph, and it can automatically connect to IP addresses or Bitcoin addresses or other identifiers. Subscriptions, another idea that Snort is already doing. You could get premium features in the client, even though it's open source, and you can freely fork it and get all the features, but most people might still prefer the subscription. You get the updates, and people are actually buying it. Personally, I don't want to get into relay hosting to avoid the moderation problems. But this is my favorite, like donations from Zaps. When you zap others, maybe it could by default donate 1% to the devs. This business model is used by many Lightning wallets, for example, Wasabi wallet for coin joins, and it's doing pretty well. Like as far as I know, they're taking 0.3% of each coin join, and that helps them maintain their team of 30 developers. That's pretty good. And that's good for the ecosystem to have functional business models like this. It's a perfect alignment of user and developer incentives, in my opinion. You pay for use, you pay for value. And this business model kind of invites us to do an online marketplace as well, because there's more money to be moved there, more money to be made. This is Colby sitting here from the Hornet storage team. Maybe you can watch his presentation from yesterday on the live stream recording. So this is, I think we're going to have to move the media onto Nostr or peer-to-peer network as well. And this is kind of interesting stuff. Currently, we only serve text content, and the media files are linked by URLs. But so this is Hornet storage is kind of like an IPF style arrangement for content addressed stuff that could work over relays or in a more peer-to-peer configuration. And it could help us do the decentralized GitHub thing. I think peer-to-peer will become relevant if we start doing media over Nostr, because you run into these moderation liabilities. Yeah, I'm bullish on peer-to-peer. I think we need more of it. Relays are not going to scale if we get massive waves of users, whereas something like BitTorrent has no problem scaling even to 100 million users or so. And also it's good for the user. I don't think we're going to have too many free relays in the future. It's quite expensive to run relays, but peer-to-peer is free in a way, because you're already paying for your storage on your devices and for your internet connection. So to conclude, well, these are design choices of Iris, but I think other clients should use the social graph as well. It's very powerful. Peer-to-peer, media hosting over Nostr, and more collaboration. And use this funding model. That's it for me. Nostr is really something I'm bullish on. Nostr and Bitcoin together can be something truly remarkable. Some great alternative, the freedom alternative to the dystopia of central bank digital currencies and WeChat style everything apps. And Nostr community, I'm just really loving the energy here. Feels like the early days of Bitcoin, but even more intense, faster development, and we have more users already. We are onto something great, and Nostr is the future. So, thank you.